Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about marathon training advice when muscle pain is bad.
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
So here we go, another question that came in. Thank you so much for everybody who submits questions. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to, Run Disney DPT on Instagram. Marathon training advice. I'm training for my first marathon. I've run 4 halves before. I'm training for 20 weeks and I'm about halfway through. Last week, I ran a half marathon and I've had such bad muscle pain when running since. My legs are incredibly tired. I can't imagine having to run farther. Any tips on how I can keep this going for the next 10 weeks? So, lots of tips, lots of advice. First off, I'm so sorry that you're feeling this pain. You don't have to suffer through pain. Many runners believe that, I'm doing something hard, I'm training, I'm running, it's going to hurt and I need to suffer. You do not need to suffer through this pain while you're training for a marathon. So this particular person is not doing the Disney marathon. They're doing a different one. That's okay. The advice stands. So I love that they're doing at least a 20-week program. Now, if you're following my Run Disney training plans, they are longer than that. 20 weeks is fine. I do recommend, I am biased, I do recommend longer. That's why I make my free training plans that way. 20 weeks isn't bad. I've seen as low as 12 weeks. What happens when it's a 20-week training plan is that the mileage increases are high. Now, I have no idea, based on this information, I have no idea what the person's back training has been. They said that they've done 4 half marathons in the past. When was that? This year? 10 years ago? 20 years ago? We don't know that information. But when I get a question like this, the first thing I do is look at, okay, how long is it? What kind of pain problem is it? And when did it come on? So they've been doing 10 weeks of training and they're already at doing a half marathon. If you follow my free training plans, a training plan for the half marathon itself, for mine, is at least 15 weeks, if you're not counting the weeks after the half marathon. Okay, so 15 weeks to get to half marathon distance. Now, and that includes doing the longest distance at 10 miles. On my training plans, the first time you get to half marathon distance is week 19. That's 12.95 miles. So that's almost that person's whole training plan right there. So I'm going to assume that these are large jumps in training. And I can make that assumption because that's typically what the other free training plans, even some paid apps, will have you do. Unless this person started at already doing a 10K. I don't know this information, but this is where my thought process starts going. Because there is a framework I follow and I look at what are they doing for strength, what are they doing for training, what are they doing for stretching and mobility, what are they doing for rest and recovery, what are they doing with their shoes and equipment, and what are they doing for fueling and hydration. So the first question is always, what is the training? So I have a little bit of information there. You don't have to suffer with this bad muscle pain. It should not be lasting days and days. So when that happens, I've started thinking about the training. Now I'm going to jump over to rest and recovery. What does your rest and recovery look like? How many rest days are you taking? When you're doing a marathon training plan, I do recommend at least 2 rest days a week. I recommend using some cross training in there that can be used for recovery. And also, I recommend using a temperature-based and a massage-based technique after every single workout. So that could be an ice bath, an ice pack, a hot bath, a hot pack. You know my favorite is hot Epsom salt baths. Olaf loves warm hugs. I love warm baths. I think hot Epsom salt baths are one of the best ways to recover and prevent soreness and tightness. The Epsom salts help calm things down. The magnesium that's in there helps the healing and the recovery. And then the warmth brings blood flow to all of the areas because you're submerged in this tub. So you have blood flow in the area, bringing in fresh nutrients and taking out the lactic acid. That's why it works so well. Some people do like ice. There is debate whether you should be doing an ice plunge after a workout, and there is debate whether you should be using ice to control swelling. I say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you like ice and it has historically worked for you, by all means, go ahead and do it. If you're not sure which one to do the opposite of what you are. If you feel red hot and swollen, well, maybe do that ice. If you feel cold, stiff, and tight, do warm. Okay, so that's how you can figure out. So, what is this person doing for rest and recovery? I don't know. How many days a week are they training? Because in order to give advice, I do need information back from them. Because if they're training 7 days a week, I'd say, well, make sure you're using 2 rest days. If they are going straight from running, hopping in their car, let's say they're running down the street or at the gym, or, a lot of people drive somewhere so that they can run in a safe place. If you hop right in your car at the end, go home, hop in the shower, and get back to your normal activity without doing your recovery techniques, which actually, now that I'm saying this, also includes static stretching after a workout. Those things need to be included, and you need to be stretching, doing that static stretching while you're warm. You can't stretch a cold elastic band and expect it to do anything. You may have heard this comparison I've done before. Your muscles are very similar to a rubber band. They have elastic fibers in them. Now, they also have collagen fibers, which are tough, taut bands, but the elastic part is what can become more flexible. So we think of stretching becoming more flexible and being more mobile. So let's compare it to an elastic band. You want to stretch that elastic band. You want to stretch your muscles when they're warm. Okay? If you are stretching that elastic band, if you are stretching your muscles while they're cold, they don't go anywhere. Imagine taking a rubber band, putting it in the freezer, leaving it there for 2 days. Take that rubber band out 2 days later and go to stretch it. It doesn't really move anywhere. But when you rub that elastic band between your hands to warm it up and then stretch it, after 5 minutes of warming it up, it stretches far. Same thing with your muscles. If you wait and stretch hours later after your workout, you're no longer warm and those muscles aren't going to go anywhere. If you do it immediately, and now I mean immediately, it could be as soon as you stop your cool down while you're still outside before you get to your car, or as soon as you get into your house from running outside near your house, you start stretching. Your muscles will be more pliable, mobile, and you will be able to stretch and get more out of that stretch than when you wait later. And then immediately after that, foam roll, massage gun, and then go hop in the hot Epsom salt bath and recover. Well, take a shower first. I don't know about you, but I don't hop in the bath when I'm dirty. I take a shower first, then I hop in the bathtub. So then I'm not sitting in my own filth. That's disgusting. So we've talked training. What has the training been like? I recommend following the 10% rule. That's what my training plans do. And so if they're already in it with this training plan, they could go ahead and follow a training plan that increases more slowly for the next 10 weeks because they've already hit a half marathon distance. Maybe they could do recovery weeks for 2 weeks. So that would be 2 deload weeks in a row. Let the body recover and then pick it back up. That's one way to do it. Or switch the training plan completely to do something that increases the mileage more slowly. So we've talked training, we've talked rest and recovery. We don't really need to talk shoes because this didn't happen because of shoes. They likely would have been starting to feel something sooner, and shoes aren't the end all be all, they're an accessory. Let's also talk about fueling and hydration. Fueling and hydration in this case likely wasn't a problem because of the description they're giving with their symptoms. Now, maybe they weren't fueling and hydrating very well and they didn't have a lot of energy. And so then they really started pounding the pavement because their legs felt like lead. That is a possibility. It's unlikely. So fueling and hydration likely not the problem here. Then what about strength training? Many runners will say to me, in this exact instance, I've had these things before where it's muscle pain, and the person says, okay, well, I need strength exercises because I'm weak. That's why I hurt. This case, doing strength exercises will not fix the problem. It will actually add to the problem, make this person feel worse. So I have no idea if they're already doing strength exercises, but at this stage of the game, I wouldn't recommend adding them. Instead, if they want to mix up their workouts, they could do some mobility work where they're just going through the motions, no significant weight, no significant repetitions, but just moving the body. That may be okay, but not heavy weightlifting, no using equipment, no using machines, nothing to try and bulk up strength. The reason for that is they're already in pain. If they were to go to physical therapy, as an example, which I don't think this person necessarily needs physical therapy, but let's say they do. If they came to me in physical therapy, we wouldn't be doing strength exercises until this muscle pain calmed down, making sure that it wasn't something worse than just some muscle pain that's lingering from a long run. But also, there's no need to add more stress and strain when the muscles are screaming at you. They're already stressed and strained enough. So the biggest thing would be focus on not going too far on the training run. So deload, maybe deload for 2 weeks as a recovery 2 weeks, and then bring the distances back up, increasing by ideally 10%, but I haven't done the math. I don't know if following 10% would get them to marathon distance enough or get them close enough to marathon distance. I haven't done the math yet. But they could go up by 15 or 20%, even 30% would probably be less than what they're increasing by now. So they could consider doing that. Rest and recovery, making sure taking at least 2 rest days a week, and doing recovery techniques, stretching and mobility after a workout, immediately after a workout, using massage gun or foam roller and taking a hot Epsom salt bath, and making sure that they're just keeping everything balanced, doing the rest and recovery techniques, the recovery techniques that are appropriate amount of time compared to how much they're running. The longer the run, the longer you're going to be stretching and recovering. If you're doing a 5K distance for your quote unquote long run that day, you're going to be doing less time doing your stretching and recovery techniques than on the day that you do a marathon. It needs to be appropriate for the amount of work that you put in. I did forget to mention, when it comes to the training aspect, for somebody who does have pain, whether it be joint pain, muscle pain, other aches and pains, I do recommend that people utilize cross-training well. Often when runners are training for a marathon, I see that they're adding in a lot of running days and trying to really get that mileage up. For somebody who has aches and pains, history of injury, I do recommend utilizing 2 cross-training days at least every other week. And then if you want to, you can do 4 running days and 1 cross-training day on those other weeks. But utilizing cross-training days to make it so that you improve your cardiovascular endurance without all the stress and strain on your muscles, on your joints. That's the way that you can keep training, build or maintain your heart recovery, your lung capacity, your lung and heart efficiency without all of this extra pounding. So that's things like spin class, riding your bike outside, swimming, rower, playing other sports, basketball, soccer, ice skating, things like that, things that will get your heart rate and your breathing up, but moving your body in a different way than you do when you're running. So these are the types of things that I would go through if this runner were coming to me in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. I would walk them through all the parts of that finisher framework to make sure that we're diving in and improving upon what needs to be improved upon and adjusted for them specifically. There are those 6 categories that will make up a successful training plan, but not everybody needs to address every single one because some things are going to be working really well for that runner, while other categories are going to need some work. So we look at all different pieces and work on the ones that need to be worked on for each individual runner. Please take what you've learned in this episode and use it to adjust your strategy for your Run Disney race training. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right balance so you can finish strong, not broken. And if you want personalized guidance specific to your race, your injury history, your running background, and your goals, that's exactly what we do inside Stronger, Faster, Finisher. You'll get step-by-step instructions and a proven system to help you train smarter from start to finish. Join the waitlist today to be the first to know when it opens next. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.